What's up, everyone? We need to have a serious talk about this evil plan put in place. People don't realize what's going on. There's an evil plan being put in place for Trump. You know, if you haven't heard about Project 2025, we're gonna sit down and look into this. Project 2025, a lot of people talk to me about it. If you haven't heard about it, it's this secret evil plan that come January, they're gonna make Trump king and everyone's gonna have to bow to him as king, and then he plans on removing all of women's rights and causing them to bow down to all the men. You know, we'll get in here and talk about it, and let's break this down, this important issue. Project 2025, scary thing being put in place right now.
Come in close, because the more you think you see, the easier it'll be to fool you.
Guard your hearts with all diligence. Lots of crazy things have been happening since April 8th. You know, wars and politics, climate, even prophecies being fulfilled. I started on this to talk about Project 2025 and putting this together. Then this attempt on Trump happened. So we will cover both of these and we'll save the best for last. Going forward, I want to make sure you understand that I present everything unbiased from a non-denominational, my Christian views are not based on any denomination, and nor am I political, as in I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm not taking any sides. I'm presenting things as they are. We have some strange things happening. I'm going to share with you some stuff about Project 2025 in a way that others are not talking about it. I'm going to share something a little more deeper that no one else is getting into. And then get into the Trump situation, and there again I'm going to present something different. So we'll get started with Project 2025. We'll get this done and out of the way. We'll start with this clip from CNN, which is the general overview of the left side.
Nothing to do with Project 2025. That's a proposed overhaul of the federal government drafted by a conservative group of former administration officials and longtime allies.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Now, right here, you see what they are doing already. They've taken his comment out of context. Now, I'm not sticking up for either side on this, but the fact of the matter is they did take this out of context and without showing the full interview. And I'm not going to show the full interview myself, but they did not show the full interview and all of his comments, and they are taken out of context. However, it is most likely that those words were still chosen purposefully, but we can see the angle they are going already by making this sound worse than it was actually meant to be.
Project 2025 lays out a right-wing wish list of policy changes that it wants during a second Trump term, such as expanding presidential powers and cracking down on abortion rights. Joining us now is former advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, Olivia Troy. Hi, Olivia. So what do you think about Trump distancing himself from Project 2025, given the fact that former officials that were in his administration are part of this? Do you believe him?
Hi, Pam. Well, no. Hi, Pam. Well, no. I mean, look, this is preposterous. If you look at the collaborators and the authors of this plan, a lot of these people came from directly people that served in Trump's cabinet during his administration. There are people that I worked with, I sat in policy meetings with. A lot of these people were senior administration officials, whether it be Johnny McEntee, who was in charge of staffing for presidential personnel, or whether it be Stephen Miller, who's behind the scenes pulling the strings on this as well. But you've got Ben Carson listed in here. You have the former Deputy Secretary of DHS, the Acting Secretary, Ken Cuccinelli in here writing about immigration and DHS. I mean, so, and then Ben Carson, come on, he's been out there on the campaign trail with the president. So I think this is just ludicrous. But I think what this is telling us is that Donald Trump knows that what is written in this plan is so extreme that it is damaging to his possibility of getting elected. And that's what he's concerned about.
So Project 2025, for those who don't know, is over 900 pages long, but it does give very specific instructions on how to replace federal jobs with political appointees, dismantle the Department of
Now pay attention to how she suddenly has to cough while going over these viewpoints. And that is for no other reason than this news reporter knows that she is portraying a view in a different way than it is actually being worded.
Dismantle the Department of Education and other federal agencies, expand executive power, and ban the abortion pill, mifepristone, nationwide. Is this, a winning strategy for conservatives?
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, I am a conservative-leaning individual. I'm a lifelong Republican. But when I think of the traditional tenets of the GOP, I think of fiscal conservatism. I think of individual liberties. And quite honestly, if you go through and really read through this plan, this is complete overreach by the federal government on our individual liberties. And I just want to be clear to women and men who support women and our individual right to health care. I know that we all have differing views on it. I certainly lean conservative on it, but there's language in here that says, liberal states have become sanctuaries for abortion tourism. That is how this document is written. And so when you think about policy meetings in the Trump administration, should that happen again? Should he come back to office? I want people to view the type of language that's going to be said in these meetings, because to me, tourism doesn't enter my mind when I think about women who are having trouble giving childbirth, who are actually leaving states right now to be able to access health care.
Civil liberties, they say, huh? This is the problem with the left. They want to push this point of view and twist it out. And the fact of the matter is, this was done by a think tank. And no different than the left and the right. They all use these think tanks. They exist on both sides. But it doesn't mean that the president is directly linked to it. It never is. They submit their stuff, and then they submit their recommendations on for the Heritage Foundation. It's called Project 2025. Other groups, think tanks have their things. Well, but this lady, Miss Olivia, obviously she seems to be a little hurt feelings there because and she's gonna side against them now because she probably didn't get chose to be on the Heritage Foundation, or she got a boyfriend that she left or whatever that's on the Heritage Foundation, right?
This is preposterous.
But the thing is, so this is their arguments about civil liberties and our democracy. Our democracy's at stake. This is the fear tactics they're using. Our democracy. One, this is not a democracy, and it's because most of you all have turned it into a democracy. Is why we also don't have civil liberties. What a joke, okay? Civil liberties, what a joke, okay? But they want to talk the left's idea of civil liberties. So their idea for your civil liberties is so you can have vaginal tourism. Without consequences, and you can off babies.
I don't think about that as tourism. And this is the type of rhetoric that is in this document, but I think people need to be paying attention because they're not messing around when it comes to this. And we should believe them. And so, to that president of the Heritage Foundation, which, by the way, is a think tank that I used to go to, especially as a college student and in my summer internships. And as someone who worked at the RNC, I used to go there and take some of their courses and attend some of their summits. When he says that it's, if the left stays silent, it's not just the left that has a problem with this, Pamela. It's people, moderate conservatives like myself, who take a look at some of the extreme language in here.
And that, or you can paint yourself up like a clown and wear a dress, right? Those are how you have civil liberties. Otherwise, you don't have civil liberties. I'm living proof. What a joke, okay? Where's my civil liberties? Okay, they don't care about that. They only care that as long as, they don't consider anything to be civil liberties except for people who want to live out their satanic ways, okay? That's what this boils down to. This is nothing more than a nothing burger. It's a 922-page book of suggestions which the president may or may not decide to implement all, some, or none of the policies. And basically adds up to nothing, but basically it's, written as you would expect, a right-leaning, conservative, Christian-backed paper to read. And, it was released just in time to and with the right emphasis put on certain parts to purposely incite anger and more divisions between both sides. While there is some concerning language in there, on its face, it really amounts to nothing. Nothing gives the president any powers of a king, does not reenact slavery or take away women's rights. But still, however, there is concerning language in this when you consider the direction that our government's going on either side. But the language in here should be more concerning and alarming to Christians rather than the people on the left. It should be noted what's the direction that things are going and the language that is starting to look like the unification of church and state, which Christians will be sure to be way against when it comes about. We have here language of that's being widely overlooked, but of implementing laws to protect the Sunday Sabbath rest. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not part of any denomination, but there is talks from, I believe it's the Seventh-day Adventists, and they speak of the coming Sunday law. And I'm not here to say anything for or against them, but when it talks about their beliefs on the Sunday law, they are pretty well on track of what's going on there, because now we have, while it looks like it's a Christian type of thing happening here, it falls right in line with the global order being pushed for what is being called a global Sabbath, where they are hoping to enforce all nations to fall in order to recognize and take rest on Sunday worldwide, and to bring what they call an Earth Sabbath. Now let's consider, before we move on, the sources that they are using to bring this out to us from the perspective of the left. Okay, so because we're going to utilize this again later on when we break down the Trump assassination attempt, but let's look at what they say, the eyes are the window to the soul. So let's look at the eyes and facial expressions here.
Oh God, I made eye contact.
On the one hand, we have this one knows that you can tell that she's confused and she's lost, and she's almost totally lost, but there's still a little glimmer of hope, and she knows that what she's doing is wrong and she's choosing wrong and assisting evil, but she will bury it inside her because she is surrounded by all these people that make her feel okay with what she is doing. So she will continue on knowing that she's actually doing wrong, but she will fight herself with that until she is finally totally lost. Now over here then, on the other side of it,
Psycho hose beast.
we have someone who came right from the Trump side herself, and this is someone, and you can see it, and you can see it right in her, and even the picture behind her is holding its head in disbelief, and you can see it, and she's just vengeful, and she don't care what's right or wrong. It doesn't matter. Only thing that matters that's right is what she believes to be right and what is good for her. And she is obviously upset that she didn't get a position on with the Heritage Foundation or whatever it may be, something connected to that. And because of that, she will not stand for, even though she supposedly was on the good side, she will not stand for their values of trying to limit tourism. And but that's who she's totally lost, and there will be no hope. And that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with, and these are the sources that they are using to push this out. And what we need is discernment, and you can tell that they're liars. Project 2025, as they are laying out, is a nothing burger. The truth is, if you want to get down, let's get down to the real Project 2025 now, okay? And let's talk about a person named Albert Pike, okay? The Masonic Jesus, I guess, right? And let's see what the architect of the real 2025, where all these think tanks derive their information and answer to. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Albert Pike, who was born in 1809 and died in 1891. He was a 33-degree Freemason. He was appointed by this guy. His name was Mazzini. He was in the Illuminati and appointed Albert Pike as the leader of the Illuminati.
Okay.
In America.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a letter that was found that was supposedly written by him August 15th, 1871. So this was 20 years before he died. And it was a letter to Mazzini. He wrote down basically the game plan of what the Illuminati was going to do for the 3 world wars.
This is a clip from Sunday Cool, and of course I'll leave a link to this in the description so you could catch the full thing. Basically, they go on to tell what the 2 world wars, how they fell in order and went exactly as planned. But what's more interesting is the plan for the world war that's yet to come, which we are very close to entering right now. And you can see, you give a listen to how it's planned out, and you can see how it's going.
The 3rd World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and the political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, in the multitude delusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Some say the Antichrist. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time.
So this is the deep state. Now you understand at least partly who those people are who are in charge, pulling the strings, and they are controlling both sides. And of course, Trump goes against the grain, and so he is, the deep state. Of course, now you see their plans. They're after you, and Trump's standing in the way. That's what it comes down to, right? At least that's what we're being told. And that's the way it's being made to look. So now the crazy thing about the Trump situation is, it's just, let's take a look here now.
Me and you, security guards, out here acting like real cops.
Why would these people who were his friends all this time, and why would they want him dead? Why do they want him gone? We've taken a short look at the deep state and found out a little more who they are, and we'll get back to that in a few minutes. But we also need to take a look at both sides. We need to consider why they want Trump out so bad. So we need to consider a little more what we know about Trump and who he is. Now, if we remember, just before he ran originally the first time for president, he was loved, honored, and accepted by all the scum in Hollywood, and great friends with all of them. And then as it started getting closer to him deciding to run for president, he was making a lot of his views known and started talking about JFK truth, 9/11 truth, a lot of these things that never did come about after he got in. But he also, then threatened to lock Hillary up, and then, which was very likely a deciding factor in the election. But then, however, during his inauguration, he chose instead to give them the Clintons a standing ovation. However, but let's take a look now what Trump, just before he was running, let's consider him for, he has great entertainment value. Let's take a look at this. Let's remember just before what was going on in his life, not too long before he was, several things before he was deciding to become president, which he had the Apprentice, and then he also had some takes with WrestleMania. Here's the problem with the assassination attempt. They gave us everywhere to look. They pointed us right in the right directions and put it all right in our face. All the evidence is right there. There's open and shut case pretty much, right? There is no doubt that this was staged in one form or another. This takes away all doubt that the deep state is out to get Trump. They're out to get us, so now they're out to get Trump. He's standing in their way. They got to take him out, right? All the evidence points right there. You got this guy roaming around for a couple hours, making sure they get him on camera. They make sure that everyone sees him, and that way when it all goes down, there's no questions asked. Yes, we all seen him there, and then obviously the deep state is involved because they all gave this perfect shot, left the perfect opportunity wide open, and ignored him while he was there. What do you think?
I don't like it.
There is no way that this is how it all went down. Okay, we can sit here and hash it out for forever with all the evidence. All the evidence is right there. And so, what do we make of all this? They made it too clean, too obvious. We'll look at this now with this perspective, because that's my point. We gotta realize who's the target of being fooled, who is gonna be fooled. And with that in mind, now let's take a look further. Let's go back to this where we was at with Albert Pike.
Seeing right now, Well, right now, we are the only station here so close to this Confederate statue of Albert Pike. They put lighter fluid on this thing. They are trying to light it on fire. They spray painted his face, and they were determined to take down this Confederate officer, saying he represents slavery, it represents oppression, and I don't know what that is. We're going to back up just a little bit. Presumably that is firecrackers.
What's really happening with Trump? Now listen, I want to make a point here, and you don't necessarily have to believe it this way, but I'm now on this rant. I've been letting everybody know you're being fooled. At every which angle, you're being fooled. You, the people, are the targets. You, the people, those who are wanting to choose to be God's people, are clearly the targets. And, so before I go any further with this, I just want to make clear, I am not saying anything in support of either candidate on either side, either party. I am not trying to be for or against Trump in this, or for or against the other side. I have nothing in this, okay? I believe as my religious duty is to stay out of it, because I'm not, there's no lesser of the two evils. It's still evil, right? So I want to make clear what we're going to get at going further from here now is I just want to go back to Matthew 24:24 and realize that even the very elect, if possible, even the very elect are going to be deceived. And we need to understand that. And when we understand that and understand who the target is, right, and what it takes to be deceived, and just keep that in mind before you jump to judgments of anything I'm about to share with you going forward. Do not be deceived.
To make that distinction, and I'm glad that you did, Shamari. One of the things I find very interesting is that this crowd must have done some research. It turns out it's believed this is the only statue of a Confederate-linked figure in the entire district. And the reason why that statue is there is not because of his link to the Confederacy, but because of his link to the Masons, from what we understand about the history of this. That statue's been there since 1901, but now it has been toppled tonight.
Tonight they had a little breakout again. They ripped down a statue that was 110 years old. Beautiful piece of art. We're not happy.
During his first term, Trump remained eerily quiet about few specific issues, such as Jason Aldean's Las Vegas blood ritual, and several other things of violence that was occurring that Trump was looking the other way while the left was acting helpless about it. And then they started moving into certain cities and attacking and defacing and destroying, tearing down monuments, statues and monuments. And but once they finally decided to enter into the district of their goddess, Trump was quick to react and condemned the act, and also fought hard to get the statue of Albert Pike repaired and replaced and reinstalled. So if Trump is also deep state, traditionally known as Illuminati, then this is it just don't make sense why they are coming after him and trying to take him out. So what indeed did happen in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th?
We found the magic wand.
The world is a stage, and this stage was being set a long time ago in an effort to suck the Christians in to their realm. As the pieces began to fall into place, they then stepped forward with their plan and then released a false prophet who would go on a YouTube channel, prophecy channel, that is heavily connected to General Flynn, which is also heavily connected to Trump, which is also possibly connected to the QAnon nonsense going around. And he would release his vision of what was to happen months in advance. His prophecies were proven already false in other means we can talk about in another video. But he drew the Christians in and set in their minds that an attack was going to happen against Trump. Trump would survive by the grace of God. And this did indeed pull them in. And now they've made you believe that God saved Trump because Trump is God's chosen person.
I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood.
If you called up your old pals from the wrestling business and also called up your old magician friends, you could, quite honestly, pull off quite a convincing show. You could combine the old trick known as the bullet catch and mix it in with the old wrestling trick of using a razor to cut the skin to make it appear as if a blood battle was going on, and you could there pull off what would appear to be an assassination attempt, because it's all
Come in close, because the more you think you see, the easier it'll be to fool you.
What do the kids call it these days? Oh, magic. First rule of magic, always be the smartest guy in the room.
Whatever this grand trick is, it was designed a long time ago. And I believe that what's about to follow is really going to amaze. Look closely. Because the closer you think you are, the less you'll actually see.
I'm not going to be embarrassed by this man again. He's got something up his sleeve, I know damn well. No.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And then, if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders, to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But take heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. So you, in like manner, when you shall see the things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of man.